Welcome back to another one of our 4x4 tips videos, and this one's all about one of my absolute favourites and a big Aussie favourite. It's all about sand driving. You know, with Australia's coastline spanning over 30,000 kilometres, there's adventure waiting for you on just about every corner. Yet the skills required to drive on the sand are not something you'll typically find when you get your licence. It's a terrain with its own rhythm and demands some extra special know-how, and we're going to show you how to make the sand work before you hit the trails. You know, it's really important to plan out your day beforehand, so here's a couple of really crucial tips to help you on your way. So, number one is know your tides. So what you want to try and aim to do is to travel an hour before or an hour after the high tide mark, so you don't end up wedged up against the forging with nowhere to go. So check the local conditions before you head off. Number two, and this one is really crucial, tyre pressure. It's all about tyre pressure. So on our rugged D-Max that we've got, we're dropping the pressures down to 20 psi as a starting point, but we'll be prepared to go down lower if need be. The benefit with that is a bigger footprint, better traction, less opportunity getting stuck. Number three, and this one's nearly as important as letting air out of your tyres, because the last thing you want are braking inputs coming from the traction and stability control system. So reach down, find the stability control button, hold that down and turn both of those systems off, and then there won't be any interference from the brakes and costing you all of that precious momentum. With this one, you'll need to locate the TCS and ESC button. Now, on D-Max and MUX, it's in a couple of different places. So with the D-Max, you'll need to go across to the dashboard on the right-hand side of the dash and find it there. In the case of the MUX, it's down by the main gear selector. Once you've found that button, push and hold it down for around 5 seconds, and you'll see a light come up on the dashboard to confirm that the systems have been disabled. And then you know you're good to go. Number four, and this one's a no-brainer, and that is get the car into four-wheel drive. So swing the selector from 2H to 4H as a starting point. Be prepared too to go down into the low range if things get really sticky, but four-wheel drive will allow you to float your boat rather than sink in like a floundering ship. Now, number five, and I don't wish this on any of you, but it's inevitable that one day you're going to get stuck, and sand is one of those environments where there's a certain inevitability about it. So to try and mitigate that problem, I like to carry with me a basic bunch of kit, and that includes a shovel, a pair of snatch straps, a couple of max tracks, a compressor and a reliable tyre pressure gauge, and then I reckon I've got all my bases covered. Now I've got for you some useful tips, and number one off the ranks today is to leave rough terrain mode alone. Now rough terrain mode is optimised for work in hard country, so I'm talking rocks and hills and things like that, but not on the sand. So leave rough terrain mode alone. Just by running in full drive high range or perhaps full drive low range will give you the advantage that you need to keep the momentum up and keep flowing down that beach without any impediment. Tip number two is to make use of somebody else's tracks. So when you stray down onto that beach for the first time, see if you can find somebody's tracks and jump in them. You've got the advantage there of somebody doing all of the hard work for you before you got there, compacting the sand and helping you to float over those sands without any impediment. It's a great way to get down that beach. Number three, and it's all about housekeeping. So why don't we first of all get into our head that the Australian road rules apply down on the beaches. So we're going to pass other vehicles on the left-hand side. The other thing you want to make sure you do is stick to the posted speed limits, wear your seatbelt of course, and whilst you're there, don't forget that there's going to be families down on the beach with kids running around, dogs and things like that, and also the local wildlife. So let's be alert to those other risks that might be on the beach, and then everybody will be happy chappies down on the beach. So number four, and we kind of covered this before, but it's worth mentioning again, and it's all about tyre pressure. So as you're making your way down the beach, and the conditions will change, they will be variable, you need to be prepared to let more air out. So incrementally reduce those pressures to maintain that all-important forward momentum. If your wheels are spinning, you've probably got too much air in them. So don't be afraid to go down perhaps as low as 15 psi to maintain that optimum momentum. But just be aware of the fact that once you go any lower than 15 psi, there is a risk of the tyre spinning off the rim or perhaps even damaging the rims if you were to connect with a rock. So go low, but be careful. Number five, and it's all about you, the driver. So when you're at the wheel, you want to remember that smooth and steady wins the race every time. So make all of those steering inputs nice and gradual and gentle, and try and keep the front wheels in the dead ahead direction so there's less resistance. Exaggerated steering movements are just going to dig you in and increase the risk of rolling a tyre off the rim. So keep it straight, keep it steady, and you'll go lots of places. Number 6, and this one's all about parking. Parking, I hear you say, what's that about? Well, it's all about finding that perfect location to pull up and getting into the optimum position for departure later in the day. So what you want to do is, as you've found that spot, nose down towards the water's edge, pick up reverse gear and back the car up against the forging. Then that way, at day's end, when you jump in the car, you've got the natural rolling rhythm to run down that little gradient, hook into your turn and make your way back down the beach and get back home in one piece. Number 7 is all about some maintenance. So at day's end, you've been running down that beach, there's inevitably going to be some sand and muck caught up underneath the car, and you need to wash that out so we keep rust at bay. So get the hose out, get on the lawn, wash out underneath the wheel arches, along the chassis rails, and then the car's good to go again. So there you have it. There's your guide to driving sandy terrains. So remember these tips, buckle up and head off on that big adventure. You know, there's heaps more 4x4 tips on the Isuzu UTE Australia website, and you can also stay connected and join up with Isuzu owner events at iVenture Club, and you'll find that at iventureclub.com.au.